Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. Back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Raw Reaction series, the show in which we look at Arsenal news. And in this particular show, look ahead to the next game and preview it with our lineups and predictions and get the thoughts of you guys in the comment box as well. This is by far, I feel, the biggest game of Arteta's reign so far. And that obviously doesn't take into account the fact that we're playing Manchester City in the semi-final, because when that comes around, that will probably be his biggest game. The reason why I think this is going to be Arteta's biggest game as Arsenal coach so far is because I think this game will separate Arsenal this season as a team that either is mediocre, and cement that in this season, or is a team that have gone through a transition this season. I think that when you look at what we're up against in a Wolves side that are transformed under Nuno, have got financial backing, have got some fantastic European talent in their side and some South American talent, of course, as well. And I think that when you look at what Arsenal have done over the last three games, which is turn things around, you look at the Southampton game, which was just a battle, effectively, a massive battle. Moving into the Sheffield United game was further sort of digging in and getting a result, and it obviously took us to the end of the game to be able to do that. But we got the result against a Sheffield United team that have effectively, you look at them very similar to Wolves this season in the sense that they've both been up there fighting against the top six, plus Leicester, of course. And whilst Sheffield United have faltered, you could argue, although that big win against Spurs yesterday was great for us. But the fact that we got that win was huge. And then going up against a Norwich side that gave United some issues in the FA Cup, but ultimately the Norwich game for me shows that this Arsenal side is starting to take on board what Arteta wants us to do. Less of the arrogance, less of the assumption that you're just better than the opponent and getting a bit more real. And I think that when you look at how Arteta is starting to implement his style with this three at the back, which if you had asked me a month ago that Arsenal would be back to playing with three centre-backs and two attacking full-backs either side, basically becoming extra wingers in a sense, I would have said you're mad, because I just thought that we were so set in our ways with a pivot, and as Ozil's such a big fixture of Arteta's game, but that has since changed. And that has led me to think that maybe this is the formation that Arteta feels is best with the situation that we have. And he probably thinks that down to a couple of reasons. One being the quality of the centre-backs just is not up there with his top six rivals or even top eight rivals at the moment. He needs those three players in there to support each other, because if one error is made in a back four with two centre-backs, it's seemingly the end of the game for Arsenal, as we saw with David Luiz against Manchester City. Now, we're coming up against the Wolves side that are on a really good run of form, defensively exceptionally solid. And so for that reason, the team that I've chosen today kind of makes the best use of the lineup I feel that we've got, and the side that we've got. Takes advantage of the players that are in form, takes away some of the players that are certainly not, and then looks ahead to where we might see an Arteta side in the future. So let's throw this up on the screen and then we'll get some of your reaction to it. So this is how I feel Arsenal are at their strongest with the players at our disposal, besides, of course, Leno right now. Martinez starting in goal. Martinez is doing exceptionally well in that goalkeeping position. Bellerin just hasn't cut it. It's fair to say Bellerin has really, really struggled since coming back. I want him to turn things around. I really do. I like the guy. I know that for some people, they really, really don't like him, and that's fair enough. You're entitled to your opinion. But I think that needs to be taken out the firing line. I think that Mainsley did quite well against Sheffield United, and I'm excited to see if the young guy can do it. The reason why I didn't put Cedric in is because he isn't match fit. That's the reason why he didn't start against Norwich. Came on, scored, did okay, but I just think that you can't put that much trust in the guy just yet in this big of a game. Leicester, I'm a little bit more open to, but Wolves, I'd like to see Ainsley Maitland-Niles play. The back three is arguably how I feel is our strongest, although if I was a betting man, I'd probably think that Arteta will go with David Luiz in a back three just to sort of help out with the long passing. And if you actually saw against Norwich, his long passing led to Xhaka's goal and Arsenal's second in that game with a long ball wide to Aubameyang. So that's something to consider. Kolasinac has done really, really well, I think, besides the Sheffield United game in which he had a bit of a mare. That left centre-back and supporting Tierney, who has been arguably our best player in this restart period. Really, really solid in that left wing-back slot. Moving into the midfield, Ceballos is just a completely turned-around player. The goal against Sheffield United seems to have revitalised the Spaniard, and now sitting in that centre midfield role has really cemented that area as his creative fulcrum and his habitat, really. And these next are, of course, Granit Xhaka, and this basically is the partnership which I feel is our strongest right now. Guendouzi's getting nowhere near this team with his attitude issues. Ozil's not going to be in the squad. Ainsley Maitland-Niles is definitely being played out as more of a right back than and made as cover for that centre midfield area. And then you look at the front line. Pepe, fantastic stuff since coming back. Starting to see, as some journalists are saying, the Pepe that was at Lille and some of the things that they saw from him in that final season that he had in the French top league. And then he's obviously partnering Saka. I know that we're playing in this lineup with three of our arguable left backs in Kolasinac, Tierney and Saka, but Saka must play. He is the creative spark that this team needs. And that's why I've gone with Saka at left wing, with Aubameyang finally playing in the centre. Now, again, similar to the David Luiz thing, I feel like Arteta doesn't want to put Aubameyang at striker, but you have to play either Aubameyang or Nketiah. You can't play Lacazette in this game. We need to take the chances that are given to us, which I don't assume to be too many. And so that's why we desperately cannot be starting Lacazette in that role. So that's my team. Let's go through some of your comments and see what you guys are saying in the chat box. Rodney says, our record in league in 2020 is actually really good. I'm positive about this upcoming game, even if it's a tough fixture. 100% agree with you, mate. Jordan Curley says, Arsenal could get cut open by Wolves, so Arteta needs to be smart in his team selection. And I feel that this is the smartest we can be to support that back line. We need to play with a back three. It can't be a back four. It would just leave us so open, so open. Avon says, no, Luiz. Again, this is my choice rather than Arteta's. And as I said, I think that Arteta will choose David Luiz. I just can't bring myself to do it because I'm still reeling from the Manchester City game, in all honesty, and the fact that he could make a mistake. Mustafi's not really made too many mistakes at all since coming back. Holding has been exceptional and has been man of the match in a couple of fixtures. And Kolasinac has made that left-sided centre-back slot his own. So I'm kind of liking that as the back three at the moment. Manoj, who is one of our members, if you want to become a member and get access to exclusive content, I can tell you that this week the Plus members will be getting their exclusive Plus regular podcast with John. So I'll be having a chat with John, Miami John, about the Arsenal current state of affairs after the Wolves game and looking into the transfer window as well. So if you want to become a member and get access to that content, then make sure you sign up. And also, of course, this month will spark the beginning of the Expert Members podcast, which will be where you guys can come on the show for a chat and get your views across on the show too. We've already had a couple of people sign up with their interest. So if you are an expert member, or if you want to become an expert member and come on, then please make sure you hit us up on Twitter at the Gooner Talk TV or Instagram. If you can find us over there, we rarely use that. But if you want to find us and send us a message and you are an expert member, then we can organise something for sure. But yeah, Manoj says, hoping that Mainsley stops his dream of being a centre mid and makes this right back position his own. 100%. I definitely agree with that. I think he needs to stick to it. It's his best chance of being an Arsenal player for sure. Jabalani says, I love how we all put Alba up top all the time, knowing very well that Arteta won't. I can't disagree with that at all. I think that we all know now that Arteta is not going to be playing this style of game where he plays Arteta up top, which is frustrating because I think that when he doesn't, it means you're forced into either playing a very, very raw Nketiah or a Lacazette that is just completely out of form completely. Laurie Nix, another one of our members, says, are you confident our back three can contain Wolves' bullish tactics? Am I confident? Confident's a struggling word to use with our backline, especially against a Wolves side that is very talented. I am content with them being able to have a decent game. We've seen them keep out some decent sides, but when it came to Manchester City, they were blown away. But when it came to Sheffield United, they did sort of hold the fort for as long as feasibly possible before right at the end, of course, conceding. And it was rather unlucky that they did in that moment, with Kolasinac hitting it off his own player. So I wouldn't say I'm confident with the back line. I just think it's the best that we can possibly go for right now. Peace Tembo says the team needs to mark out Moutinho and Traore as they are suppliers to Wolves' creativity. We need to approach it differently to last season when we lost 3-1. Last season, we got absolutely bossed in the Wolves stadium. It was absolutely horrific watching this team get pulled apart by a new, inventive Wolves side. And I just think that when it comes to Arteta, I'm praying that he's got sort of their numbers marked and knows where their weaknesses are and what we need to do to tackle this side. And it's going to be really, really, really tough for sure. Avon says, I wouldn't be surprised to see a change at right back, but I'm not sure it will be Mainsley. So you're thinking it's going to be more Cedric. That's quite interesting for sure. Taib says, Tom, do you rate Adama Traore? Yes, of course I rate him. I think he's a really, really strong young player. I think he needs a move to a bigger side for sure. And if he does that, there's a chance that he can get into the Spain national team on a regular basis, which, I mean, if I'm honest, Spain do need someone on that right flank because they're just so, they can't, it's Gerard Moreno who's there, or Asensio can play on that side, or Rodrigo can move out of the striker, because with Pedro, obviously Pedro's coming towards the end of it now, isn't playing for Spain anymore. Suso as well hasn't really done too much. So I think that if Adama Traore can really push on, there is a spot in a Spanish team that lacks pace, it's fair to say, on that side for sure. Daniel Williams says, would you start Laka or Nketiah? If it was my choice, I'd start Nketiah at 100%. I don't think you can start Lacazette at this stage. His confidence is just so on the floor. It's a joke how low his confidence is right now. Melly says, we played Wolves last time right after the Xhaka debacle and got a draw. We played with Chambers at right back. I think with a healthy team, we will be put up a great fight. And I can't disagree there. I think that we've got much better team selection available to us this time around. We've got youngsters like Saka and Tierney that are in. And I'm really, really hoping that they're going to do the business. Because if we can get a win, as I said, going back sort of full circle to where I started off the show, talking about how I feel that this is Arteta's biggest game so far. And if he can win this game, I think it would prove a lot of the doubters wrong in a lot of ways. If you can get some big performances from the likes of Xhaka and from Saka and Aubameyang as well, and Pepe, of course, then you've really got an opportunity to really get a Wolves side that I feel has weaknesses. I feel like the back line, whilst is one of the strongest in the league, is a good unit. And if you isolate the individuals in it and sort of bring out their weaknesses individually, I think they can be got at. So that's where my head's at in that regard. Zamir, another one of our members. Thank you, Zamir, for supporting the channel. He says, might see a back four instead of three, and Torreira next to Xhaka and Ceballos playing with the cam role. Torreira is, of course, apparently fit and ready to return. Whether we go for a midfield there of Torreira and Xhaka instead of Xhaka and Ceballos, I don't know. I think that would really limit creativity and will make you quite passive. So Torreira, for me, if he plays, he replaces Xhaka, which I don't think you can do right now. Or, as Amir says, we've switched to a back four with the 4-2-3-1 coming back into the midst. But I'd rather not see us skew too far away from this back three. That's going to round off today's preview. Only a short one. Today, of course, we'll be doing the reaction show straight after the game tomorrow. Looking forward to that one. And, of course, watching the game and getting your guys' reactions too. Really, really looking forward to that one. So I will see you then. Please, if you've enjoyed the video and you agree with what I've been saying, or even if you don't, drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Turn those notifications on so you never miss a show. And of course, we'll be back again with you guys very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.